Great seeing my next guest back in action. Going to be taking on Jamal Pogues, UFC Fight Night, February 18th. It's Josh Parisian back here on the program. Josh, how are you?
What's up, man? I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Like I mentioned, happy to see you back in action. I know the last fight didn't go according to plan. I just wanted to quickly touch on that. What exactly happened? I know you had to go to the hospital. You're supposed to fight Chase Sherman back in November. Take me through sort of what happened there.
I woke up a little after midnight and my heart was like pounding really hard and skipping beats uh and then I like tried to go back to sleep but I couldn't because it was like my heart was racing, pounding on my chest. And then I think I had an anxiety spiral where like then I got nauseous and then it got worse and worse, and it was like a pretty scary thing. And it was scary too, thinking about all of like young athletes dying from heart stuff. Oh, being like, I hope something's not going on with me. And it was just a scary situation. And then I went to the emergency room, and then they gave me something for the nausea, and they gave me something to calm my heart down, but they put an IV in me. Um, Actually, I'm not sure. I don't think I'm supposed to fight after an IV, but nobody ever said anything about that. But anyway, um, I I got out of the emergency room at about, I think it was 7, 8 a.m. So I was there all night from midnight to 8 a.m. And then, the doctor I talked to the doctor, Dr. Davidson, and he, he just like, he didn't like that it was still happening, after all the time and stuff like that. And then he talked to the matchmakers, and they're like, look, we don't want to, it's like, what it's, do you,
Yeah, with the heart thing, you got to be real careful, right? Like I get it. You
yeah,
know?
I don't know. It was like a really weird situation. They talked to Hunter, and they're like, how do you feel? I'm like, well, I mean, I could get some sleep and I could do it. My heart is still doing this thing, but I mean, I need to make money. I want to fight.
Mhm.
Um, and they came back, and then they canceled the fight, but they still gave me some money. Not my whole
Okay.
purse, not my show purse or
No, no,
anything,
of
but they
course. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
gave me 10 grand to keep going, which is nice. And, because it like, by the time I get to a fight, I'm usually broke, and I'm like, I need that money. So I'm like, this is a scary situation. It's scary, but I also need to make money for my family, especially right before Christmas too. So I'm like, I'm ready, and I'll do it. And it just, they, I think that, I don't know if what they were searching for, if they wanted me to say like, no, I'm good 100%. Maybe I should have said that, but I was
Mhm.
just honest. I'm like, this is a scary situation for me, but I still want to fight because I need to make the money. And they just didn't like, I don't know if they didn't like the verbiage or whatever I used, or just didn't like that it was still happening. I don't know.
But at the same time, like I said, you were talking about your heart here. It's not like you're feeling nauseous, you have like the flu or something. Like this sounds like pretty serious. So I'm sure it did work out for the best. Did they ever figure out exactly what it was? Like what caused this? Because had you ever had anything like this happen before?
I've had heart palpitations, and I've had it my entire life,
Oh, okay.
as
Oh, so
far
this
as
is
I can
something
remember.
common.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that, like, I'll get it here and there, but it was just so much worse. It was like next level, and that's what was scary. And then, I went in, and I talked to a cardiologist, because Mick was pretty much like, I can't have a dude with a heart problem on the roster. Like, you got to figure it out before
Mhm.
get you another fight or whatever. So I went
Mhm.
in there, and they did a bunch of tests on me, stress tests and all that, and they came out, that it's my heart is fine. It's just whatever valve, some sort of valve, is has gotten worse, and it does something too early, whether it closes or opens or does something too early, and that causes that PC, then PCR. I forget what they call it,
Mhm.
PVC, or I don't know what they
Yeah.
call it,
Yeah.
but basically said it's okay as long as I don't have any other heart issues with it. Because at
Right.
that point, then they would have to go. The only way to fix it at this point is to go into an artery and fry a nerve in my heart to fix it. But they
Yikes.
said that you could live your rest of your life like this without, if you don't have any other heart issues, and it's fine. And they did a stress test, and everything was fine, and they said that I could fight. So
It's scary though.
they gave
Like,
me a medication
yeah.
too.
Well, sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say, like, was there a point when you heard like Mick say, like, "Hey, you got to get cleared"? Did it cross your mind at any point thinking this might be it?
Yeah, it was scary, and it was also, I had that, and I also had Jen, my significant other, the mother of my child. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, she wants it to be done. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's
Yeah.
such a hard thing. Nobody ever talks about how hard it is for a significant other you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to support me in camp, and like, and they go through the emotions and stuff like that of like, oh, here we go, and here's the fight, and then they feel like she has to act a certain way around me to, so she's not nervous and she's not worried about it, and it's like it's a lot for her, you know what I mean? And then for this whole thing to be like to be scared for me through that whole thing, and then she was upset about me only getting 10 grand, which I know I understand. I did a lot of work and like that, but I didn't make them any money. So I understand the UFC's point of view. And then I found out they don't always give you money for a situation like that. It's just
Right.
at their discretion, and they're different every time. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful that they did it. But, she just doesn't see the value in the money that I make for the effort that I put in, for the brain damage that I take, for the just it takes away from our family too to do this. I'm a different person whether I want to be or not when it gets close to fight. Um, I'm less, and I don't mean to be, but I'm less like, I'm not as good of a partner. Like, I'm not a very romantic partner as it gets close to the end because I'm just like dialed in,
Right.
um, and then I will let other things in my life fall behind because I have one goal. And like I've had all my energy towards this one goal. I only have so many chips to spend in a day, and I spend it on that. And then, just things kind of fall apart in my life as I get closer to get to this thing. And it's a tough thing
Mhm.
for a significant other as well. And what I mean? I'm trying to co-parent with her, and she takes on responsibilities of that as well. And it's tough. And, she pays, I don't make a ton of money. She pays most of the stuff. So she's like, I pay all the bills here, you know what I mean? And all this
Yeah.
stuff. And like, what are we doing here? So I get where she's coming from.
No, I appreciate the honesty on this, and I think this is stuff that people need to hear because you mentioned a lot of it, like the spouse side of it. How are they feeling about everything, and being a parent and having the responsibility. So I know it can weigh a lot here. It's good to see you've sort of overcome all this in terms of all the obstacles, right? Like you've got this heart thing, and then you have to get cleared, and then you've got the pressure at home as well. And by the way, everyone goes through this. Where it doesn't matter what career you're in, you have that pressure of trying to find the balance between being a good parent and also doing your job. So it's like there's that fine line as well. So that's good you've been able to sort of
Yeah.
figure all that out. Just one last thing on the last fight. Was there ever any talk of rebooking the fight with Chase, or were they just kind of like, hey, let's move on from this?
Uh, no, no, never, no one ever said anything from it about it. But somebody told me Chase said they're rebooking the fight with us. Him and I, they're rebooking it. I'm like, well, never told me that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm down. Let's do it. But no one ever
Yeah.
said anything to me. Then he got that fight with that other guy, the Waldo guy,
Oh, that's right. Yeah. 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 Of course. Yeah. I remember that.
right
So
after. You know what I mean? Like a week or two after, whatever it was, and then nothing was ever said, and I got this fight.
there
And
we go.
actually, this fight that I got was not even really offered to me. It was offered to another guy on my manager's roster, but he couldn't make the weight in time. And he said, "Well, we can offer him you to fight him to Mick, and maybe Mick will accept." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's." And it worked
Interesting.
out. It was like a perfect time for me. And
I don't want to get anyone in trouble. Do you know who the other fighter was? I don't know if you're allowed to say or not.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say or not.
No worries. We'll just have
Yeah,
to ask anyways. It's all good. Let's talk about Jamal
yeah.
Pogues. 9-3 record. What do you know about him? How do you feel like you can match up against him here?
Um, I think he's a very athletic guy. He's a really good, strong, athletic guy. I think that I've only watched two fights from him. I watched his contender fights, and then I watched. Oh no, I did. Well, I would have watched some other ones, but there was like some older ones. There was kind of like just him wrestling and stuff. But he goes to decision a lot. I don't think he's very gifted in striking power, but I think he's good at grinding people down, and I think he's got a lot of strengths. But I know fighters say this all the time, but I'm in the best shape of my life right now. And I think it's because I had a fight camp, had a strong fight camp, felt good, didn't take any damage, right back into another fight camp. And do that heart thing, like I took a week off just to like, let my heart chill, and because I was kind of worried about it. But after I got cleared, I was right back to training. So I was a week off. I took a week off in between. That's it.
Nice.
So I went fight camp so normally after a fight camp, you kind of fall, right? Because you took a lot of damage. the adrenaline like sucks you to the floor. Like you just like you're not even the same for weeks after that. For me anyway, it's just like it's a lot. But I never got that. So it's just like right straight up to my conditioning and stuff like that. So I'm in phenomenal shape right now. So
Good.
I think I match up well that another strength I have is like I can't be broken. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I people just don't I just that's like one of my biggest strengths I have is I never stop. And even when I'm dead tired, I just keep moving forward. And I think that's gonna be tough for him. And I think he's gonna trying to break me.
Love it, man. How much will experience play into this? This is something I have always given you credit for. You had a very long road to the UFC, way longer than other people in terms of Contender Series and the Ultimate Fighter and all this stuff. And here he is. He's got what? I think it's 12 fights. You've got 20. That's a lot of experience gap. How much do you think that will play into the fight?
Um, I'm not sure, but I will say that people underestimate the first fight in the UFC. It's just not the same. It's just like it sucks the energy out of you. It's just a
Mhm.
lot, and you build it up to more than what it is, um, and all the media and the lights and the expectation you put on yourself. Like I know that like that first fight, after my first fight in the UFC, they had to take me to the emergency room because uh I was not getting enough oxygen. Like my
Mhm.
oxygen was super low. Like I fought to the end, but like in between rounds, I felt like I was gonna fall asleep. I couldn't even open my eyes. It was just so much. Um and I think that plays a factor in too. And I know it's gonna be tough. It's your first fight in the UFC. It's tough for me now. I know how tough it was then, and I think that's going to play a factor.
Training camp, business as usual. Who you working with? Who have been some of the bodies helping you get ready for this one?
I'm working with Ty Wilmo. He's an amateur. Wait, no, he's a pro on the team. He's a pro on the team now.
Nice.
He he's a little bit bigger. He's walking around at like 210 right now. He's a wrestler, Greco-Roman mostly, but we've been doing, obviously it's not a secret that the way to beat me is to take me down and hold me there. You know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
I'm not trying to hide that secret. Everybody fucking knows, right? So
Mhm.
it's always trying to stop the takedown. And I just worked on that. And I think this guy's got a good, he's good at getting people down on the ground. So I wanted to stop that and working a lot to stop that.
Um, how's this fight playing out? How do you see this one unfolding on February 18th?
Uh, I just think that outlast. I think that my my greatest strength is my ability to never stop. I think my mental strength has always been so much stronger than this meat sack, right? Like this vessel that I've had. Like this will give out way before this, and my body is catching up. Uh, it's just the game of just catching my body up to what my mind can do, and I think that every camp I get closer and closer to that. Um, I think that's why I get so nervous in fights too, because like I know that once I start, I won't quit, even if my body starts shutting down. Like that first fight, like they took me to the emergency room because I couldn't even open my eyes, I couldn't breathe. It was such a scary situation. I feel like my mind is so strong that I'm going to kill myself just with effort. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's why I get so nervous before fights. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit better because my this body's catching up to it.
I don't know if you know him at all, but obviously some big news a couple weeks ago. We had Jamal Hill winning the UFC light heavyweight title. He's from Michigan. I know you're from
Yeah.
Michigan as well. What did you think of that? And was that inspiring at all? Just because, again, you guys are both from Michigan.
It was inspiring. Just because like I don't know him, but I just I've been around him and I've been at fights, and he used to fight at the Deltaplex in Grand Rapids all the time. I think he's like pretty much all his fights there.
Mhm.
Um, and it's cool to see that somebody uh that was on the local circuit that was just beating dudes around here made it. You know what I mean? And it had a pretty
Mhm.
good come up doing it, and that was inspiring to see. But also it made me feel bad a little bit because like that's something that I could have for myself, and I don't have it yet. Uh, and like I don't know, I just want it for myself, and
You're a competitor. I get
not that
it. I get it.
I'm mad at him or I don't want
No, no,
anything
no. I
bad
know
for him.
exactly what you mean, man. You're a
I just
competitor. If you didn't feel that way, it would be weird to begin with. Because why would you be in the UFC if your goal is not to, be a champion, right? So I get it, man. You're competitive.
yeah yeah
So
yeah. So I got not like I just got my feels a little bit, just like man, I could do that, and I want that for myself, and I want that for my family, and not to take anything from. I'm glad that it was for his family, but I want that as well.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it, man. And before we go, speaking of which, how's fatherhood going? How's all that? Because I'm sure I have the same thing even with what I do. Like, obviously, I interview fighters, but when I go pick up my kid from school, he's in kindergarten. It's like I'm just Dad James, so it's different. I'm sure for you, it's like when you're at home, it's like, yeah, I'm Dad Josh, right? As opposed to being Fighter Josh sometimes, right? Like, so
Yeah.
how's that, man?
Oh man, I say it all the time. It's the best things ever happened to me, and as she gets older, things get more challenging, but things get easier.
Yeah.
I took her. I just got back from the gym. We went to the gym today, and she ran around the gym while I hit mitts, and she sat there on the stairs of the cage, just watching me. I'm waiting because I'll put her in the cage and I'll lock her in there sometimes. And it's a huge, 30-foot giant cage. I'll
Yeah.
put toys in there. It's not like a cage,
Yeah.
but I'm just so worried that she's gonna tell somebody at school like, yeah, Dad put me in the cage and I played, and
Right.
and then
Child services comes over to your house.
yeah, child
What
service comes to
exactly
my
happened here?
house.
It's like, I'm a cage fighter. Sorry. It's all good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there we go,
But
man.
yeah, man, everything's going really good. And yesterday that was tough. Couldn't find because we went vacation here and there, and or go to her parents' house, and we brought the nebulizer and left it there. We must have, because I couldn't find the nebulizer because she got sensitive lungs. They had to go to the emergency
Mm.
room, give her the nebulizer treatment. It fixed her right up, and then she got sick again. And so, but today she's feeling great. But that was like a really stressful thing yesterday because when she gets to breathing hard and stuff like that, it's like scary. Being a
Yeah.
dad is scary.
It is. It is. You got
Yeah,
you got humans you got to protect and shape their future, right? So I totally get it. Hey,
it's a
Josh, thanks.
huge responsibility.
Yeah, no,
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
agree. No, I was gonna say, Josh, thanks so much for doing this. I always appreciate you taking the time, man. If there's anyone you'd like to thank before we get out of here, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Phoenix Athletics, um, Law Office of Timothy McDonald, and Tab Nutrition. I just started working with her. So I'm still gonna be coming fat for this fight, but hopefully at some point I won't be fat. Working with her. I like to thank, Jen, everything she does. That's like we said earlier in this interview, like nobody knows how much she does. She does the most of anybody for me and with me and struggles the most. And I really appreciate her for everything she does to be able to make this happen and all that.